Denver.
Right. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to yet another cracking installment of the Matt Brown Show. This is the Secrets of Fail series, where we're talking to CEOs all about their epic business blunders, the stuff they won't put on their LinkedIn timeline unless they come onto this show. And nonetheless, here we are, and in the hot seat with us today is none other than Ryan Clark, the founder and CEO of a company that's hit hectic levels of scale, but also been around for almost 2 decades. Ryan Clark, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Privilege is all mine. So, Ryan, I'd love for you just to kick us off on this episode with the elevator pitch. Tell us a little bit about PeopleShare. What are you up to over there?
Yeah, and I think an elevator pitch should be short, sweet, and very simple, easy to understand. We help people find jobs. So we're your traditional staffing agency, and we place people in clerical, administrative, office-type jobs, as well as light industrial jobs.
Uh-huh. And so you've been around for almost 2 decades. It's rare to find a company, not so impossible, but it certainly is rare to find a company that's been around for so long, that's weathered so many storms. What do you put that down to?
Well, when we started the company, all the decisions that we made were long-term thinking. Never thought about the short term. We always had a vision to grow this into a national company. So I think that when you think long-term, and you do things that are probably short-term, counterintuitive, I think it breeds some pretty good results. And we've been fortunate to weather a couple brutal storms, a couple tsunamis with Obamacare and Great Recession and a lot of different things.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's a story for another time, I'm sure. Ryan, what is your story of fail for our audience around the world today?
So I think it was Bill Gates that originally said success is a really poor teacher. So I think when you're starting to have success, you just keep on trying other things, and you think you've got this halo around you. But one of the principles of good to great is to stick to what you know, focus and be laser focused. So I think it was about 2012, 2013. We're doing so well with the staffing on the clerical and administrative and the light industrial side that we just thought, hey, we can do anything. Anything we touch turns to gold. So we founded our own IT, technical staffing company, and never got out of first gear. And I'd say probably after 8 months, we were bankrupt. So that certainly had a lot of egg on our face after that, but learned a really valuable lesson.
Mm-hmm. What did you learn as a valuable lesson from that experience?
There's so many reasons to stick to what you know. It's what you can be the best at. It's what your customers know you as. And then all of a sudden you just do a complete paradigm shift, and everybody thinks staffing is all under one umbrella. And I guess it is, but in my opinion, it's really segregated and really segmented. And just trying to do an industry that we didn't have the contacts, we didn't have the knowledge. More than anything, we didn't have the passion for it. Technical isn't really my area of expertise. It's not what I was passionate about. Much more passionate about administrative, clerical, and light industrial placements than technical.
Mm. Yeah, it's such an interesting idea, isn't it? Because you would be like, recruitment, staffing, like everybody needs people, right? So technically speaking, or rationally, you could say, well, you could easily expand into technical IT resourcing. You could easily expand into executive recruitment. You could easily do all these things. And as you pointed out, you actually can't. And so to your point, it is important to grow where you planted.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So if you could go back in time, what would you do differently and why?
Well, people say, hey, you learned a lesson, you lost a bunch of money, but so I wish I'd scrapped the whole project to begin with. However, what are the lost opportunity costs? So if we lost, I don't know, call it 1.2 million. That's probably about the number that I have. But what are the lost opportunity costs, the lost branding opportunities that we had there? So it was definitely well into the 7 figures of a loss. So I would have scrapped the whole program. And I think we all know that that expression, physician, heal thyself. I would have just taken my own advice and just focused on one thing. But I kind of broke my own rule, Matt.
So how do you know, or what have you learned about when to say no to something like that? Because it's interesting when you are a CEO, a visionary, it's very easy to be romanced by the new shiny business unit, the new segment where you could, potentially add more revenue or whatever the case is, or, own a new market because you the big wig and admin staffing, you know what I'm saying? And so what have you learned about when to pull the plug on something? Because I think it's important to innovate, but it's also important to know when things are not working.
Yeah. I think all of us would agree with this statement is that the best advice in life that we've ever gotten has been really simple, yet profound. And a fellow CEO gave me this great advice one time. He said, if you think you have a problem, you do. So as soon as we start talking about it, as soon as we start thinking, maybe we wanted to change course, that's when you got to do it. Mm-hmm. So we all pull the plug at some point, and we all pull the plug too late in the game. But I've learned that lesson, and I've gotten better and better and better at it. But whether it's a venture, shiny object, or an employee that's coming in that's not cutting it, we're cutting them. Before it goes too many innings.
Mm-hmm. Ryan, what's your advice to other CEOs in terms of the importance of failure in business success?
Yeah, I would say that the quicker that you can chalk it up and just say, you know what, now tomorrow I've got to work extra hard, instead of letting it get you down or wallowing on what could have been. My partner and I said, man, that company was just an utter disaster. Like, we couldn't have made a dumber decision. Well, what are we going to do about it now? That money's long gone out the door. Well, tomorrow we're going to come back and just light it up. Mm-hmm. So use that as fuel to say, oh man, my competition is now catching me because of that 8-month venture that, I think I was losing it there for about 8 months, and just use that as fuel to say, I got to work twice as hard tomorrow.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Great advice. And tell me about, are there any books, tools, or resources that you recommend other CEOs use on their journey?
So I do believe that the smartest people out there are always reading, always getting different, different lessons, different perspectives. And I do believe you got to alternate a little bit between just pure business books that are all pragmatic versus just some pleasure books. But there's great guides out there, and I don't know the website off the top of my head, but it was the CEO's reading list for 2022, and there's 50 books, book a week. I didn't quite get there, but I just used other resources about asking for advice on great books from other CEOs, but try to read at least 25 pages a night.
Yeah. It's just finding the time, right, to read a book a week.
You got to shut off the TV. I'm always watching the Bruins game or some sort of hockey game, but that's really not adding value. You got to shut off the TV and start reading.
So you're a Bruins fan then?
Yeah, of course. Who isn't?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So are you bullish on the playoffs?
I've never been more bullish in all my years on one team winning the Stanley Cup than the Bruins this year. Mark my words. What's today's date? April 23rd. They'll win the Cup this year.
Great. Well, I'm an Avalanche fan because I have to be.
I'm sure you are.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be dropping you a note for sure. Well, that's awesome. Well, look, Ryan, thank you for being in the hot seat today, and thank you for sharing, your story of fail for our audience around the world. Appreciate you. You've achieved so much, man, and congratulations on all your success. And thank you for making a difference. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks.
Pleasure to